Thank you, Father Kelly, Father Becker, Reverend Fathers, any honored guests, and my brothers. I was raised Catholic. I have more meaningful memories of my mom reading Harry Potter to me and my brothers than I do of going to Mass with my family. I was raised in a Lutheran elementary school, even though there was a Catholic school 5 minutes away. The faith wasn't important in our lives. I loved my childhood and I loved my family, but it just wasn't important. And as I went into the public school in 7th grade, that was my spirituality. That was it. You know, it probably would have gotten worse actually. But then God decided to call our family back to Him. In March of 2012, my mom had a stroke. I remember I remember being in the living room and she's sitting on the couch and I'm holding her hand and she's looking at me and my 2 brothers and she's telling us that she loves us and that everything's going to be okay. And she had this expression of peace in her face, and she was saying this with utter conviction and certainty. And so later on, she told me that in that moment, she experienced God's presence, and she felt the way He loves every individual person, and it was the most powerful thing. But when she came home from the hospital, her recovery was very difficult for her. She spent most of her time sleeping. She had, really, really bad constant migraines. But the other time, she spent praying. And she would spend hours in prayer. Her door would be closed. There was a big sign that said praying. And so if I had a question for Mom, that meant I had to wait because she was in prayer. And that would really frustrate me because, suddenly my mom isn't spending time with us and she's off praying, and that was never important. But those prayers saved our family because it started to spread to the rest of us. We started going to Mass every week, and then I started going to the religious ed classes, which was a new thing. My dad brought me and my brothers back to confession for the first time since 2nd grade. I started serving the Mass, and my dad, he even went to the Catechetical Institute in St. Paul. And then finally, at the net retreat before my confirmation, I experienced God in a personal way. That was new too. I got to experience Him in adoration. It was beautiful. So fast forward a year, I was about to start my senior year of high school, and I had felt the pull to priesthood, and I had contacted Father Bloom. I talked to Father Kelly. He was in town at my parish. I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 months, so I was ready for seminary. I was good to go. I was telling everyone, hey, I'm going to seminary. But I wasn't praying. And what's the point of all that if you're not praying? So I start senior year, and I'm going through and I'm not praying. And then I make the mistake that you shouldn't do when you're discerning seminary. Her name was Beth. She told me that she liked me, and I'm like, well, maybe I was a little quick with the whole seminary thing. And I warned her, I'm like, I'm thinking about seminary, so I don't know. She's like, well, how about we try it? And, if it doesn't work out, then maybe that's a sign that you should be in seminary. So I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. But I knew that it wasn't. I knew that I should be in seminary, but I couldn't decide. So I'm like, yeah, let's try that. And there's a lot of guilt and a lot of shame with that because that's not fair to her, But we date, and as we got closer, then the choice got harder because I wanted both things. I wanted to be in seminary, and I knew I should be, but I also wanted to be in a relationship with her. So I just kept putting it off because I didn't want to think about it. We graduate high school, and I can't make up my mind. I can't think of anything else I want to do other than seminary, but it would mean ending the relationship. So she goes to St. Cloud State. I go to St. Thomas because it's near the seminary, but it's not the seminary. It was like a little compromise I made in my mind, but it's ridiculous. So I was going to Mass every day, and I was going to adoration, and I had confession, and I had distance from the relationship at the first time. And then God was able to speak, and He made it abundantly clear that what I was doing was like, what are you doing? Just don't do that. So it was so apparent. So finally, at the end of September, I ended the relationship, and it was really difficult. Probably one of the hardest things I've had to do, because she was crushed. But I had a lot of peace with it. I had so much peace with it because I knew it was the right choice. It's going to be 2 years in a couple days. A couple days after that, I got in contact with Father Bloom. We set up the application process. I started going along with that. And then he's like, well, do you want to start in January? I'm like, that's quick, but I'll do it. So yeah, then the last couple months of that first semester, there's a lot of just preparing for seminary, a lot of solitude, and it was wonderful. It was such a peaceful time. So I entered in January with Ryan Schuschek, Ryan Glazer, and Jose, who is not in seminary at the moment, but it was the best gift I could have been given. So I'm very, very thankful for being in seminary. It's amazing. So praise be Jesus Christ. Now and forever.